Good to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, we got quorum. Okay, council. Council. It's 7 o'clock. Mr. Clerk, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended? And we need 2/3 for this. Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Gilliland, all those in favor? Oh, I forgot to, using the tabulator. That carries. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Council, before we start, as we in Aurora were celebrating Easter and Passover this past weekend, almost 300 innocent people lost their lives in Sri Lanka due to terrorist attacks on Christians in church and hotels. Words simply cannot convey the horror of it. So I'd like everyone to please join me for a moment of silence and show support for the victims, their families, and all of Sri Lanka as they mourn those lost in these senseless attacks. Thank you, Council. Councillor Gardner, you mentioned to me that you wanted to say something?
Last week, I clearly misspoke when I suggested that renters should not have the rights to express their opinions on PlaySpeak. I was wrong. Obviously, there are many long-term renters who are active members of our community and make valuable contributions. As a renter myself, I should have realized this. In the moment, my words were ill-considered, and I truly apologize for any unintended feelings of disrespect that I may have caused. I've always tried to help everyone, voters or not, because they are part of our community. Recently, apartment residents on Brookland Avenue and Orchard Heights had some serious concerns, and I was pleased that I was able to help them. I'm especially proud of the work that I did to try and make basement apartments safer. We need to be working together for the benefit of our residents and businesses, not finding ways to divide. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner, and I'm sure the residents appreciate the heartfelt apology, and I believe Council does as well, so thank you very much for that. So we'll move to community presentations. First on our list, we have Mr. Al Downey, our Director of Operational Services, regarding 40-year service award presentation to Mr. Jim Tree. Mr. Downey.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it, and members of council. 40 years, that's 2 life sentences. I can't think of, well, let me back this up a little because I don't want to go through this yet, okay? Apologize. I can't think of a person more deserving of an honor this evening than Mr. Tree. Jim, to me, has always been very special person. He and I often agree and often disagree, and it seems to work good either ways. But Jim has always been to me Mr. Aurora. He has guided me through all the time that I've been director, and Jim has gone through a number of directors, and you'll actually see that in a slide a little later on. But Norm Weller originally brought Jim Tree to Aurora, hired Jim out of Westview Golf Course, and if anyone knew Norm Weller, he was bigger than life personality. Jim took on some of those, but not, thank God, all of those personalities. But Jim has been instrumental in guiding the town of Aurora, Parks Department, as well as now the operational division through his tenure. No task seems too big for Jim. He always goes there with an open mind, an enthusiasm. I say he's got the curiosity of a kid. I've said that before, but he does. And it's amazing to see a fellow who's been here that long not satisfied with good enough. You know, we have to do better. We have to try something different. And I feel so lucky to have Jim as part of our team, and you should as being part of Aurora's team in guiding us in the past and into the future. Jim hasn't left us yet, but on Friday, the 19th, he was here for 40 years. Now he's working on his 41st. And that is a truly amazing accomplishment. A lot of things have happened since Jim's come on board. So we have a little slideshow that we did for a breakfast forum. We had a breakfast forum last Thursday. And so we showed a slideshow. And I would like to share that with you because when you start thinking back about 40 years ago, what was that like? It gives you a little bit better idea, and all the things that have happened and all the accomplishments Jim has made and all the differences Jim has made. We have a little saying over at the Joint Operations Center about making a difference, and Jim is one of those people who truly make a difference in everybody's lives and in the town of Aurora. And I'm so happy to call him a friend, and I'm so happy to be working with him for all of these years. So with that, I'm going to give a little bit of a slideshow. I know we want to move along a little here, but I wanted to at least say a few words about Jim. Jim is here with his wife, Deb, another Auroran. She comes from the Dole family here in Aurora, and his youngest son, Darren, is here as well. They raised 3 boys, Kevin, Brian, and Darren, and unfortunately, Kevin and Brian couldn't be there, and he was so happy to be a grandpa, like 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago, to Mason. And he has truly embraced Aurora as his home and has, as I said before, made a difference. So with no further ado, I'd like to play a little slideshow. Yeah, when you start thinking about it, well, that was a long time ago. Yeah. Unfortunately, we're going to see if Montreal won't have a chance.
Suits $91. I would have had a lot.
I love the cars. He was our rock. A lot of changes moving from Scanlon to the Joint Operations Center. Moving the Petch House. We didn't know what to do, but Jim said, let me take on it. And now we have a Petch House. There's the old band shell. If you change that in 2000. We did a lot, we continue to do a lot of in-house work. Shepherd's Bush was one of our very first projects. We were very proud of that project. It turned out great. He has his own sawmill. That's how we have all those tables, those ash tables. Oh yeah, but it was because of Jim. new products. Jimmy's always looking at new things. This is a new turf product that we found that you can actually drive on, and we use in a lot of our walkways. Trumpeter swans, trying to bring trumpeter swans and maintain trumpeter swans within Aurora. Always so new projects. He likes to eat. Good parks picture. Jimmy started with our parks team and is now is manager of our roads department, as you know. Couldn't do it without the guidance of Klaus. We had to have Klaus in the picture at some point. And Dave Tomlinson. Jimmy always seems to be in the background, but his ideas are always at the forefront. In the back. Look in the back. That's our Christmas picture from this year. So 14 elections, 7 different mayors, 43 councillors, 10 CAOs, and 6 directors. That man made an impression. So congratulations, Jim. 40 years. So, Mr. Mayor, if I could invite you and the members of council up, I'd like to have a picture with Jim. And we have a presentation.
Well, when we come, sit down.
Come on up, Jim. Come on up, Jim.
Thanks, Al. Nice words. Thank you. Hey, Stephanie. Thanks.
Oh, I'll send it to you. I'll text you.
Now, Mr. Mayor and members of council, now that I'm not surprised as I was last Friday, blindsided completely with the breakfast, but I just wanted to say that it's been a privilege and an honor to be part of the town of Aurora. Came to Aurora when I was 2 years old. I don't live in Aurora anymore, but my heart's still here. And my family's heart is still here. We raised our children here. Best town in the world. And it's been just an honor and a pleasure to serve the community. All the different members of council and mayors, directors, the residents. It's just been a fabulous. I've never really considered it work. It's always been fun to come to work and a real pleasure, and it's not without the support from directors past, directors present, mayor and council. Fabulous support. We've always had fabulous support for our initiatives and endeavors, and that's made it almost, it's just fabulous. So words really don't describe it, and that's just been a real pleasure. And thank you very much for tonight and for Friday.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Council, first if I can get a motion to receive. Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Gardner, Councillor Humphreys.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jim, I just want to say, I've been a counselor on my 9th year, but I knew you when I moved here in 1999, because the first thing my husband and family said was, if you need anything done in the town, you just call Jim Tree. Like, he knows everyone, he knows how to get things done, and he's a good old boy through and through. That's Brad's words, you know how he is. But I just want to say thank you very much for your 40 years of dedication. And I honestly, Al touched on it, Mr. Downey, but you come to work every day like it's your first day on the job, and you're so excited, and everything you approach is an opportunity, and you honestly have a real refreshing way about you, and I wish we can clone that so that people come to work and be really excited like you are, because that's how you have come up with these incredible ideas constantly and make our town such a great place to live. You've had a huge impact, and I just want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, from our residents, council of residents, and my families personally, because again, the comfort that they have in knowing that you care and love this town, it shows through and through. And again, thank you for your 40 years of great dedication to our town. It's congratulations. And I remember your son when he's only like 5, I think, when I first met him. He was right with you on weekends when you're off duty and helping, doing things as always. So thank you again to you and your beautiful family for, again, all your support for 40 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Humphreys. Councillor Gardner.
Mr. Tree, I was sitting over there when we celebrated your 25th year. I don't know where I was sitting when you retired, but here you are again. I thank you for always returning my calls so quickly and talking about things that I think we both thought were very valuable about the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Tree, for all the same reasons everyone else has echoed. And just one question is, I noticed that you've been, actually 2 questions. You've served over, I think it said 41 councillors and 10 mayors. Can you tell me who was the most unforgettable mayor and unforgettable councillor, including current council?
Don't forget.
Okay. And last question is, how long have you been married? Have you been married longer than you've been working in Aurora? No. I haven't. Okay. Wow. Unfortunately not. Okay. Thank you.
I started work at 21. Thank you, Councillor Kim. Jim, what can I say? I mean, we've benefited as a town because of your expertise, your experience. Everyone always talks about how blessed we are in Aurora with our green parks, our fantastic trails, and quite frankly, we owe it all to you. You've done a tremendous job in making Aurora what it is when it comes to green space. So, you moved on into the roads, and you're starting off the same way with the roads, and you're doing the same thing. You're creating an incredible atmosphere in that department as well, and Aurora as a town is only going to benefit from that. And so we thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and I think every resident does, for your service, 40 years of service to this town. So thank you very much. We're all proud of you. Okay, so we're going to move to our next presentation. Oh, actually, I need to vote on that one. Sorry. Using your tabulators. Councillor Gardner? Thank you. That carries. Next up, we have Grandmaster Tim Wakefield from Shoalin Martial Arts Canada in regards to Shoalin Martial Arts and culture in Aurora.
Good evening to council, mayor. This is the first time I've addressed the council. I've been in Aurora since 1994. I ran a school under a different name at the time, but I've been teaching actively to the community since that time. And I've had some very good luck. As you mentioned, that I'm a Grand Master, which means I've spent almost 40 years in martial arts training, in a myriad of different disciplines. And a couple of years ago, I was, promoted to the level of a 9th degree Grand Master by the International Kempo Council in Boston, Massachusetts. But more importantly, I managed to, because my style is called Shaolin Kempo Kung Fu. So Shaolin is a temple that is in China. It's a Buddhist temple, but also teaches Zen and Confucianism side by side. The temple was established in 495, right? It's still there today doing the same thing. And I started making pilgrimages to the temple back in around 2013 and 14. I've been working closely with Shaolin monks that have been immigrated over to Canada. I've had regular seminars with them in my school now, and it got to the point where the Shaolin Temple said, we would like you to represent us in Canada. So in 2016, my school was changed to Shaolin Martial Arts Canada, and we were accepted as an official overseas Shaolin Culture Center. Right, so our job now is not just to teach martial arts and the values of martial arts to young people, and basically everybody in Aurora, but to promote the idea of the Shaolin culture and provide a way for people to see that element. Right, right now I am actually, I'm going to sound like toot my own horn here, but I am actually the only Canadian to hold this distinction of being a 34th generation warrior disciple of the temple under the current abbot. So there are other Chinese-born monks who have moved here, as I mentioned, who have a similar distinction, but really I'm the first sort of Canadian-born person to get this. That was a surprise to me when I first found out about it, after I got my disciple name, which is Shi Yan Feng. I contacted them and said, hey, listen, is there any other disciples I can get in touch with so we can start organizing stuff, do some interactive events? And they checked their list and went, no, you're the only one. I'm sorry. It's like, oh, darn. So here I am with this great responsibility, but I thought, I talked to, Mr. Mayor about this when he showed up to one of my workshops, and I've worked very close with all the mayors since I've been here. Tim Jones, Jeff Daw, right? All have been very great supporters of my school. Mr. Tom has also been very supportive of the school so far, so it's fantastic. And he brought up the idea, we should let the town council know about this. I said, okay, that's why I'm here. So, what we do in our school is we teach Chinese Kung Fu, right? We teach self-defense skills. We teach, through this, we teach kids how to, find the best parts of themselves and to grow and develop as fine young human beings. And at the same time, teach them some cool stuff. It's been a real blast. I don't have any intention of stopping anytime soon. I'll probably be here for the rest of my life. I was a resident of Aurora, but thanks to the housing market, I ended up in Newmarket. But my business is still here. So I'm still Auroran at heart, right? Let's see, what else can I say about that? I've probably had the privilege of teaching over 5,000 students in the time that I've been here. Right? I've promoted many people to black belts and beyond in many disciplines that I teach. Right? So this is a really great town. I like being able to provide this, and also about the Shaolin culture thing. Is that time limit?
1 minute.
Okay. As far as the culture thing goes, right, this kind of puts Aurora on the map a little bit as far in the martial arts community because, right, Shaolin Temple is such a worldwide and it's a UNESCO protected site, right? Aurora is now connected to one of the greatest lineages and historical, things in the world. So that's why I try to bring to it, and I just want to kind of share that with you. On top of that, we have a special young lady, or one of my students, who has undergone my training since 2012. She is a fantastic student. She's had a very sort of up and down, path in the martial arts. She's really struggled with various things personally and otherwise, right? In her training. And every time she faced a challenge, she just shone through and plowed through. It doesn't matter if there was tears, or if there was pain, or if there was confusion. She just plowed right through and went with it, right? And she pounded everything. She's challenging her black belt on the 5th. We're coming up, and I nominated her to Mr. Mayor here for the pin. Right, so this time I'd like to present to council Miss Ella McAlpine. Come on up. She's just a wonderful student and works very hard, and that's really why she's here today. She's just like one of the hardest workers I know. She's fierce. Don't mess with her. Alrighty. So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to.
Yeah. So, council, if you can join me again in the center, and we're going to present Ellen with the
Yeah.
pin for excellence in sports.
Yeah.
We're going to hold you there just in case there's some questions. So, council, can I get a motion to receive? Councillor Gallo, Councillor Kim, Councillor Humphreys. You have something to say?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. I learned so much just from your presentation this evening, and congratulations, the only individual in Ontario or in Canada. Wow, and to be in Aurora, like...
In Ontario, but there's high-ranking guys in Quebec, but almost, like I said, for Canada, I'm the only Shaolin Warrior disciple.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you, and for bringing your business to Aurora, and for sharing that with us tonight. Like, this is really exciting.
Well, next year marks our 25th anniversary.
Is it so? Here's my question to you: You're having your 20th anniversary. Are you going to do some sort of an open house where perhaps we can come and join you and celebrate? Maybe bring my 7-year-old grandson.
Absolutely. As of June 15th of next year, it'll be 25 years in Aurora.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
And I don't know if Mr. Mayor, we can go visit and celebrate with you and share with the community, because this is an incredible, I didn't know. So I'm really thankful that you're here and you're sharing that with us, and very proud of a young lady who will be going for a black belt on May the 5th, and you're an inspiration. I'm sorry, what was her
Ellen.
age again?
Oh, she's 13.
13, wow, black belt. That is so incredible, so proud. I'm so happy to see a young girl doing that. So thank you again for sharing tonight. It means a lot to me, and getting Enrico in there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Humphreys. And yeah, and Council, if you have some time, go by, check it out. You'll be very impressed with what goes on there. And I know, Tim, actually, you go out and you do a great service for the town as well, because you go out and you pick up kids at the school and bring them over to your place, and they work out. They do some activities as well, while parents might not be able to pick them up. So you provide that service as well, which is incredible, I think.
After school pickup service, and we're in negotiations to have Chinese language taught in our school as well.
Yeah. So
Right, yeah.
yeah. So thank you for the service that you provide to the town, and Ella. Congratulations again, and good luck May 5th. Hopefully everything goes well. I know you're, was it, how did you say it? Nerve-sighted?
Nerve-sighted.
There you go. So I'm sure it will go very well, and you will do very well, and we look forward to your future in representing Aurora, and we're proud of you as well. So thank you for coming out this
All right.
evening. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Omito.
Councillor Humphries, did you want to say something, or did you just hit your button again?
I did want to say one more word.
Sure.
I just want to say thank you to, Mr. McAlpine, Dr. McAlpine, who's my ophthalmologist, which I'm so excited to know your daughter was getting her black belt. That's exciting. And an Aurora resident. So thank you so much.
Yes. And thank you for keeping Councillor Humphries' eyes in check. So
Yeah, I got to
we
come see
appreciate
you.
it. So with that being said, I'll call the vote. That carries. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So next up, Council, we have Danielle Corinne, Executive Director of Roots Connecting Communities, Inc., regarding introducing Roots Connecting Communities. Good evening. You have
Good
just-
evening, dear Mr. Mayor, members of council and staff. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to present our organization to you. My name is Danielle Corin, and I'm the Executive Director of Roots Connecting Communities. So the purposes of today's presentation is to give you an overview of our organization. So we are a York Region community-based non-for-profit organization, and we help people get there where they need to go on their journey. We have been around for 30 years, and we provide timely, safe, affordable transportation, as well as a caring conversation along the way. We are located in Sutton, but we provide services for all of York Region residents. So volunteer drivers use their own personal vehicles to take our clients to destination within, as well as outside York Region, for medical, social, banking, or recreational purposes and activities of daily living requirements. We also offer bus trips to shopping centers, local special events and attractions, and these trips are aimed at reducing social isolation. So last year we did more than 50,000 rides. We had 43 volunteer drivers and almost 1,000 unique clients. That was an annual growth compared to the year before of 38%. So our operations are currently funded by CHETS, the Town of Georgina, York Region, and the Ontario Trillium Foundation. So how it works with the costs, so either a client reimburses the driver for the mileage, or our office will bill a third-party organization like ODSP or an insurance company. A client can also apply for fee subsidy assistance, so if a client is really low income. In addition to that, all the rides to the food pantries and community meals are free of charge, because we believe that if people don't have the funds to buy food, they also don't have the funds to get to the food. So we're actually doing some rides now for the Aurora Food Pantry, and again, all free of charge. So our clients are our neighbors. They are experiencing social, physical, mental, and/or financial barriers to timely, safe, and compassionate transportation. So those people cannot take YRT for whatever reason, and they cannot afford a regular taxi service. So although most of our clients live in Regina, because that's the most rural municipality, we also have clients in Aurora. As you can see here, the red dots. And so those are mainly the rides to the Aurora Food Pantry, but we also bring clients outside of Aurora, so for example, to the Canadian Mental Health Association, or to other services within Aurora. So our needed support. So at this moment, we are looking for outreach opportunities. We will be at the Aurora Street Festival. We are also looking for organizations to partner with and connections to corporations who maybe can sponsor rides to the food pantry or can sponsor rides for low-income residents. We're also looking for board members, but most importantly, we are looking for volunteer drivers. Right now, we have one volunteer driver in Aurora, and we need more. So any questions or comments?
Thank you, Danielle. Council, if I can just get a motion to receive first. Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Gardner. Councillor Humphreys.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much, Ms. Corin, for joining us this evening. It's a great program. So I noticed earlier, do you have availability for carrying individuals that have accessibility issues, including wheelchairs? Will you be able to transport that type of individual?
At
Okay.
this moment, because we work with volunteer drivers and they use their own personal vehicles.
Okay,
But if people have walkers or like a foldable
Sure.
wheelchair, then we can accommodate.
perfect. And you're looking for volunteers as well to be some drivers?
Correct.
Okay. So we have I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Neighborhood Networks?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
may want to partner
Yeah.
with them to look for volunteers, I'm sure.
Yeah, we already partnered.
Oh, you already
with
done?
them. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect, as I saw others. No, it sounds like a great program, and probably not as popular here, because this is the first time hearing about it. So I think once people hear more and more about it, it would be probably much used. I can see this absolutely, because you're right, you have individuals that can't get to where they're going, there's isolation, there's, so this is a great program. So if you're looking for us to help with some sponsorship opportunities,
It's more, I would say, connections. So maybe there are realtors who maybe are looking for opportunities to give back to the community, and they are maybe willing to sponsor rides to the food pantry.
Sure.
Or maybe organizations where we can do a presentation to recruit more volunteer drivers.
Sure.
So again, all connections are very much appreciated.
Sure, absolutely. I'm sure staff would, maybe within the marketing area, communications, might be able to help out a little bit. I just, off the top of my head, I'm thinking the chamber might be a good place to
Yeah.
do a presentation.
Yeah.
And there's lots of realtors that are part of the chamber and other businesses that would probably love to be able to help. So in that case, but yeah, thank you very much. I think it's a great initiative, and I hope that we use it and be able to help you some way. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Humphreys. Councillor Gardner.
Thank you very much for coming. I also think it's a great initiative and definitely very needed. You do have some sponsors in Chats, York Region, and the Trillium Foundation. So that's a financial subsidy?
Yeah.
We're getting a grant from all of them right now. Next year, unfortunately, we are going to lose YRT or York Region as one of our funders, as well as the Ontario Trillium Foundation. This is our last year with them.
Sorry to hear that. The volunteer drivers, their driving record is checked and insurance and all of that.
Absolutely, yeah. Drivers are screens checked, their cars, insurance, everything,
Thank you very much for your work.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Danielle, thank you very much for coming this evening. I know we had our chat, and I asked you to come out and so we can get this information out to council. And I think council, if we can, look to see if there are connections that we can put Danielle in touch with, that would help continue this much-needed service. So we will continue to do that and look for those connections, and maybe I'll pass along your contact info to the rest of council as well, and we'll go from there. But thank you very much for coming out this. Thank you, Danielle. Council, call the vote. That carries. So next we have our delegation. Gord, I'm not going to be able to say your last name tonight, so I apologize. I hope you can understand why, but okay. So, okay. So we have resident Gord here in regards to bylaw amendment for zoning bylaw number 6000-17. Gord, you have 5 minutes, and
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Just wanted to say, we just wanted to take this opportunity to bring forth a couple of concerns about the Canadian Tire store. So most of the residents aren't in disagreement to have something put in there. Obviously, it's much better for the community and for the town of Aurora to have stores going in there versus an empty spot. What we do have a couple concerns about was the proposed loading dock. Which way was it going to face? How were they going to orientate it? Is it going to interfere with the exit coming off the south side there, which the residents use, and then going out towards Yonge Street, right? Obviously, there's noise level, you know, depending on what time they have shipping, receiving, and stuff like that. So a lot of it has to do with the traffic going through there. I know the road there is already in quite a bit of a disarray, and then you have much more truck traffic going through. That's going to make things a little bit more difficult too. So also in regards to the snow plowing, we've had issues there before where the contractor was actually plowing the snow in front of the stop sign, so making it difficult for residents to exit, as well as any, you know, emergency services. So the other thing we have an issue with, potentially, is the restaurant. So having a restaurant already there, we have had noticed a rodent issue in our community, which isn't very nice. So I've been there since '99 when the complex first opened. So, you know, we've had the Canadian Tire store and it was great and everything else, but certainly things need to be looked at as far as that aspect goes, what the town or what whoever is going to, how they're going to monitor that part of it for the cleanup and stuff like that too. So also, I know there is a monitoring well in the parking lot. So what was going to happen in regards to that?
the which, sorry?
There's a monitoring well in the parking lot, which is basically monitoring the water table. So I was just kind of curious on what was happening with that in that regards as well. So, and obviously there's, you know, the road traffic and everything else, but really the main thing is what is going to happen with in regards to that loading dock. So, but like I said, the community does need something in there, and we're all for that. It's just a matter of getting the right fit for our community and obviously for the town of Aurora, right? So, okay.
Thank you, Gord.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council, if I can get a motion to receive and refer to bylaw B. Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Gardner, comments or questions for the delegate? Councillor Gardner?
I have the same concerns, so I will try and help you.
We appreciate that. You've definitely, you know, been gunning for us as well. So.
Well, I have the honor of living pretty near a truck loading dock, and it's noisy and there's a lot of fumes, and there doesn't seem to be many time constraints.
Right.
So we as a council hopefully will ask the developer to do what they can to help you.
Sure, and it would be nice to see what they're actually proposing, because right now everything is just kind of up in the air, right? So, you know, it'd be nice to kind of say, okay, well, it's going to be like this, and then.
I believe I saw in the request to change the zoning that there are some things that are dependent on the site plan, so I think the site plan will hopefully be coming to council, and then you'll know that. The other issue I had was with respect to the street lights. Are they still on there? They are, thank you.
Yeah, the street lights on the actual roadway are on, because I believe they're on now. from the town, right?
Okay, we'll
Right?
check into
But
that.
the parking lot itself is always dark.
Yeah, but it's the roadway that I'm
It's the-
concerned
yeah,
about.
That's correct, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Councillor Humphreys.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much for delegating this evening. In fact, Councillor Gartner actually covered some of the things I was going to mention. So for sure, we're going to be looking at where that loading dock is going to go, what the noise level anticipation is going to be like, and I believe it'll come to us during a site plan. So we're all going to be watching that very closely. We want to make sure that, you know, your living will be comfortable and you won't be inundated with unwanted environmental issues. Yeah, exactly. It's the unknown.
Uncertainty of what's
Sure, it's the
actually going on
unknown.
in there.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And thank you for letting us with the monitoring table in the,
yeah, there's a monitoring well there, so.
I didn't know.
It's, in the parking lot, you'll see it's about 3 feet tall. It's a blue.
Oh, yeah,
That's what a monitoring,
okay.
I
Sure,
only know
well-
that because it's part of my business.
Oh, okay, good. Well, we'll be watching that. Thank you for sharing. Thanks so
problem.
much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Still another,
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Humphreys. Councillor Gallo.
Thank you. Just wanted to be clear that the loading dock you're referring to would be the
Yes.
one to the south of the building.
Yes, it's on they're looking for it on the south side of the building. There's one already on the north side.
Already out there.
Yeah. So, but it was proposed to put one on the south side as well, where what used to be the
The
garden center.
garden center.
was. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gallo. Gord, thank you very much for coming this evening. And as mentioned, and you'll hear it probably if someone pulls the item, but we'll be dealing with a lot of these issues through the site plan application when it comes forward.
Okay.
I would suggest that maybe if you sit down and you can get in touch with our director and maybe just have a chat with some of those concerns so he can get them down and speak with the applicant as well about those concerns. And we can try to work together and basically get a really good outcome for everyone.
Absolutely. That'd be great. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very much for coming
for
up.
your time.
Thank you. Council, I'll call the vote. That carries. Okay, Council, we move into the consent agenda. Anybody want to pull anything from the consent agenda? C1, C2, C3? Questions? Seeing none. Okay, can I get a motion to approve C1 to C3? Councillor Humphreys, second. Councillor Gallo? Call the vote. That carries. Standing committee reports. Anybody like to pull anything? Or questions? Councillor Gallo?
R3, please.
R3. Okay. Anything else? Good. Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Gardner?
I'll pull R2, thanks.
R2. Thank you. Anything else, Council? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve A1, A2, R1, R4, R5, and R6? Sure. Yeah, that's the sport. Yep, sport plan recommendation for implementation. Okay. Anyone else? All right, we'll do that again. A1, A2, R4, R5, R6. A motion to approve those. Councillor Humphreys. Councillor Gallo, second. Call a vote. That carries. Okay, we'll move to items requiring discussion. R1. Councillor Kim. Yeah, something, would you like to put something on the floor?
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment to R1 to, instead of hiring a full-time staff for the sport plan and recreation representative, to have an 18-month contract position.
Mr. Clerk? Is that okay? Councillor Kim, do you mind moving what's there and then doing an amendment? So if we can move in second what's
Sure.
there.
Sure.
So you'll
I'll-
move it.
I'll move
Who
it.
wants to second it? Councillor Gilliland. So now you'd like to put an amendment?
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment to, instead of having a full-time staff position be approved at this time, to recommend an 18-month contract position. And at that time, staff can come back to council and after review of the position, and if they wanted to put in another recommendation for full-time, we can do it at that time. But at this time, I think it might be more relevant to have an 18-month contract.
So your amendment, just so we can get clear, your amendment would be that number 2 clause, instead of it saying that a new permanent full-time staff position be approved, that we change that to say that a new 18-month contract staff position be approved.
Yes.
Would that work? Is that? Mr. Clerk? Procedurally is fine. Okay, so I'll get, Councillor Gardner will second it, and then I'll ask Ms. McDougall if she'd like to add to that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as far as the position, if anything, I'm just trying to do the math of the timing of the 18-month contract is fine. It's just I'm trying to map that out as to the budget cycle. I don't want to leave us with a gap prior to a budget approval. So if here and now is approved to, let's say, 18 months, we can post, hire somebody in July, it'd be 2020, but then, so I'd have to be back next year, summer of next year. I'd only have a year to evaluate the position in order to have my budget request in for 2021.
Is it exactly 12 months?
Councillor Kim?
Or is it
Budget
14 or?
cycle, our budget cycle is 12-month calendar, yes. So I'm just trying to do I'd only have a year's evaluation because I'd have to be coming to you I'd have to prepare for my 2021's budget request next summer. So I'd only have a year's evaluation. As long as council would be acceptable with that.
Could we not have, when this comes to the next budget cycle, can we not do a conditional approval for the balance of the 6 months? Okay. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Gardner, couldn't it be that difficult to, whether it be a conditional 6-month budget approval for 2021?
Mr. Gardner?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we currently have the money that's already been approved within the budget that we can work with in regards to the whatever period you'd like to do this over. So there's money there on an ongoing basis that you could tap into. So I don't think the budget cycle would really play into this, other than getting that permanent full-time FTE approved.
Councillor Kim, can I suggest, would you be okay with 24 months?
Yeah, that'd be fine too.
I know what you're looking at doing, and that's why I'm just wondering if the number works better as far as for staff to be able to work through the budget process, and maybe that makes it easier for all of us to be able to have some data in front of us and evaluate it and see how well it works. That 24-month contract might be a better number to work with.
So it's not that we don't have the funds, because if this is a permanent position, it'd be available in infinity. So it's just really procedurally, how do you come back 6 months or halfway through the budget year? Is that it?
Well, Councillor Kim, what I'm hearing from Ms. McDougall is that if you have it at 18 months, when it comes back to us to reevaluate it, we'll only have probably a year or less than a year's worth of time to evaluate the position and what was done. And so that's the concern. If we're okay with just a 1-year time frame for evaluation of it, if we want more than that, then that's why maybe we should have it just a little bit longer.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. McDougall, is 12 months sufficient, or would you rather have the full 24 months?
Ms. McDougall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the goals for what were outlined in the report, as well as what we feel our next steps need to be, first step, number 1, was the development of a sport policy. That in itself will guide us in some future direction. I would rather a longer period, to be honest, to get a better sense from not only orientation of the individual, but to get them in and developing some action plans that are tangible for council. So for me, I would prefer a longer period, just to help us with evaluation. If there are other opportunities within that portfolio that we could look at, I'd like that time.
Okay.
That'd be my ask.
Certainly,
Councillor Kim?
24 months is fine.
24 months is fine. Councillor, I got Councillor Humphreys first on that. Oh. Councillor Gardner, are you okay as a seconder to change it to 24? Yeah? Okay. So friendly can be 24. So Councillor Humphreys?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this was not initially a temporary job. It was a fulfilling job, like full-time job. There's a couple of concerns I have. When you obviously who will be applying will realize it's temporary. So what type of caliber are you going to get? I'm worried about that because we're looking at a director level, right? A high-level management position.
Well, not director.
Well, not director, but manager, right?
Not really. Still not.
What are
Coordinator.
you looking? What are you looking for? Coordinator.
Coordinator.
Okay. I mean, sorry, I misunderstood. So I think we're putting a lot of focus on this, and I just want to make sure that doesn't deter stronger candidates, regardless of the level of the position. We're taking a big chance here to change the direction, and I want to make sure that we have someone who feels that they're gonna have a big career here and not just coming for 18 months or 24 months. Also, I'd like to see this position roll into not only developing the plan, but being a big part of the implementation of the plan, because they're going to be so familiar with it that they'll be able to see it to fruition and then upkeep. So, I'd love to hear Councillor Kim's idea on why this is, the thought process, because if there's a really good, I'd like to understand a bit more about why this approach, because then, I may be okay with it. But right now, I just feel that I'd like to look at it as a permanent position where there's a future and a goal for this individual to strive for. That's just my opinion. I'd like staff's input on that as well if they have any concerns with a temporary post for this role. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Humphreys. Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's common practice for us to hire temporary, let somebody prove themselves. It's helpful instead of getting stuck with somebody who's permanent. It's very hard to, that puts us in a hard position. I think, unfortunately, the way the state of the job market is right now, it's very hard for, I'm thinking this is going to be a relatively young person. I think it's very hard for people to get jobs, and I think having a 24-month contracts are often 12 months, having a 24-month contract with the town of Aurora with the hope of becoming permanent, I actually think it's a very good idea.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Councillor Gallo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually would have even been okay with the 18 months. The plan actually has a 5-year window from 2015 to the end of 2020. And the plan is basically spelling out that it should be implemented within those 5 years, which ends at the end of 2020. And 18 months, by the time you select someone, is more or less the end of 2020. And even if during the budget process, there's enough money there to have that position up until the end of 2020. So the discussion would be at budget, in my view, after the end of December 2020, do we hire that person again, starting January 2021? So I'm actually okay with the 18 months. I'm fine with the 24, but I'm not sure what, unless we'd have to come up with what that person is going to do after the implementation of the plan from December or January 2021. So that's kind of my perspective.
Thank you, Councillor Gallo. Any other comments to the amendment? Oh, Councillor Kim.
Thank you. So my rationale for changing this to a contract role is, I mean, part of it is what Councillor Gardner has intimated. My preference was to have external consultant. I mean, what we're doing here is not that unlike what we've done with the Cultural Partners project, where we've hired an external consultant. I mean, the benefits of a consultant is that you have their industry-wide database. They have, many other clients who've utilized their services. And so we have a lot of comparative analysis database that we can leverage. We understand their industry knowledge. And some of the benefits that the staff report indicated in terms of access to staff, reporting to senior management in town hall, that and all the other mentions can still be had with an external consultant. But, to meet halfway, because I'm sure, some may want this to be an internal hire. So I compromised and thought, let's do an 18-month or a 24-month contract, because as Councillor Gardner intimated, that it gives us an opportunity to see if it works out with this individual, because not every hire is, the best hire. I'm sure, some of us have been in the situation where we've hired staff or people on our team, and we thought, maybe we could have done something different or hired someone else. And this gives the flexibility that, after the sport plan is constructed, maybe we go in a different direction. Maybe this individual is not isn't the best hire we can do. We can get someone better. So this gives us flexibility. We all know from the last 5 years that if things don't work out in the town, it's very costly compared to non-government jobs. If people are concerned about the quality of the individual, I know a ton of individuals who bang on municipal, provincial, federal doors to get a job in the government. So I don't think having a contract role will deter any qualified individual from applying. The only negatives that I might see is that those who are already employed in the town of Aurora, that might want to move over, they may not. But if they want to take the risk, they can. But they may not want to take the risk in a contract position. That's the only pitfall of this particular option. But I think overall, I think this is the best option that would give us the flexibility as the town.
Thank you, Councillor Kim. Councillor Gardner, second.
Thank you. And I thank Councillor Gallo for the timeline on that. The only reason I would go with 24 is because I think that there hasn't been work done for many months. I don't know how many months it is since we, stopped with Sport Aurora. And so I would thank you for reminding me of the timeline.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Councillor Humphreys.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I absolutely appreciate Councillor Kim's rationale, and I would normally agree with that. I really would, except for a couple of things. I think here we're looking for an experienced individual. I believe the criteria needs to, someone that needs to understand, sport and all types of different, from programming to actual, different types of sports. Also, this isn't going anywhere. Like, this is a long-term plan. It's going to continue to go and evolve. It's not going to disappear unless I have it wrong. Maybe I need to hear from staff on that. We're making a big change here. We're replacing an organization that used to deliver this, and we're now taking it on in-house. And I really don't want I want someone who's out there, perhaps in a current job, in a different town, municipal person, who say, this is a great opportunity for me. And it's going to be hard for someone like that to leave a permanent position to try to take a chance on a temporary one here. Unless it's someone, out of university, yes, it's a great opportunity. And absolutely, having a job in municipal government is fantastic. You take the chance. But I just feel that this, for me in this particular case, I want this to be 100% successful. I believe the screening, I know staff will do a great job and hire the right person for this role. To me, it's very important that it's successful, because I'm not saying that a temporary job individual won't be successful. I mean, there's the other side of the coin that they would try really hard. But I'd like to attract this job for other individuals that have a permanent job right now that will take the plunge and leave to come here. And I don't think you'll get that with the temporary position. I know I've been in that position myself. And if I'm looking at different roles in great organizations, and one is permanent, one's temporary, I'm gonna go for the permanent role. And that everyone's looking for that. So, I'd like to hear from staff a little bit on this one through you, Mr. Mayor. If I can hear just any concerns or no concerns, because I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. So if I could hear through Mr. Mayor.
Ms. McDougall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, certainly with contract positions, you do run the risk of applicants not coming in full or wholeheartedly applying for it, in the sense that they don't see a permanent end to it. Even though council at the end of the contract might make it a permanent position, through our HR procedures and policies, we don't automatically give it to the person that had it before. It becomes an open posting again. So there can't be a guarantee that the contractor that we award to or give to run this program for us will get a permanent position in the end. Quite likely they could, because they're very experienced with us, but we can't guarantee that at this point. Keeping in mind as well, just from a permanent position and our HR procedures, we do have a probationary period that we obviously review through general practices of an individual that comes on board. We would be looking for somebody who has experience in sport administration, sport management potentially, as well obviously has familiarity with the various local sports, ideally if they're familiar with amateur sport as well as some professional sport, some interests, but more the amateur side. I do think that there's opportunities exist in strength of candidacy if it's a permanent position. If I may, coming into Aurora in my position, Aurora and council in particular have made a point to focus on sport, have sport as part of a mandate from yourselves. In the focus that you gave in developing the sport plan, clearly sport in Aurora is very important. It is not something that I see dropping personally. Sport tourism is something that is being focused, as it relates to the economic development strategy that council is focused on. So I don't see it going away. I agree with Councillor Humphreys on that. So from my perspective, we see opportunities in seeing that this position has merit in itself to survive. Keeping in mind too, the development of the sport plan was with the use of consultants. And typically with other areas, yes, consultants might start us off, but then transition us to a position, permanent position. And that's where I see we're at. We're at a state where having a permanent position, being guided by the development of the plan, has given us the roots to be able to establish a solid portfolio that this candidate would fall into.
Thank you. To you, Mr. Mayor. And I appreciate the seat. So this is where I'm coming from. I think we're worried about getting a candidate that's not the right fit. And what are we going to do? It's going to cost us money. That's a chance we're going to take. And that's part of the hiring committee. And also, and it's within the information in the package, there are obviously management checks and balances, reviews, performance objectives. And if they're not met, they'll be dismissed on grounds of non-performance. There's no reason that you wouldn't do that if they truly were not performing. So in this case, again, because it's a really big focus and a big change for us and a new position that we purposely created, I don't want to take the chance for temporary, but obviously the voter on the table will make that come to fruition either way. But my opinion is I'm in with all due respect, I know that my peer, Councillor Kim, has gone through much of this in the past, and I understand the positioning. But for me, I'd like to go forward with a permanent hire and do the proper performance reviews and feedback. And we're expecting a lot from this individual, regardless of the level of the role. So I'm going to be looking and watching very closely. So That's just my opinion right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Humphries. Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Just curious as to what exactly is the current probationary period?
Ms. McDougall?
Probationary period officially is 3 to 6 months, and usually it's a 6-month that we would give something like this.
Are there,
Councillor Gilliland?
through you, Mr. Mayor, are there any other municipalities that have hired a position similar to what we're seeking that would have some sort of history of what we're trying to achieve?
Ms. McDougall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we've done a bit of research on that, and certainly through HR will help us with the development of a portfolio when we go forward. Locally, and not anyone to the N6, but south of us in the southern larger municipalities, they have gone that route. Certainly, they see sport as a focal point for their municipality and sport tourism. I think that's sort of what stirred Aurora on, not to mention some of our focuses around sport in Aurora. So for us, we'd be looking at comparators. I know they exist. I don't have a name in particular to give you, but I have seen the portfolios before.
Councillor Gilliland?
Okay, so my only concern with the permanent, and I do like what Councillor Humphries is suggesting, is because it is kind of an unknown, and maybe there's room to redefine maybe what that role would look like. Maybe 36 months would be something that would be more appropriate to give you a little more evaluation of, you know, the position and what exactly we're looking for them to do versus the 24. I think you're looking for a little bit longer term, so maybe you would, you know, attract that right person, but at the same time allow us to define the working role of the coordinator. And I didn't know if maybe that was something that you would feel would be more beneficial.
That question?
To Ms.
Ms.
McDougall.
McDougall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. You know, contract positions, again, it comes down to the candidate that would apply, knowing that it's not a permanent position, regardless of length. I think length can be beneficial, but it doesn't necessarily mean that individual will stick around. Although it's a contract, they come on, it's supposed to be a 3-year contract, but because they don't see the permanency in the end of it, they might leave us. So we might be in a shorter turnaround time, even if it was a permanent candidate scenario. So obviously I go for the permanency because I know I'll get the qualified candidates, and I know that we have some loyalties and consistencies. But if it's to be a contract, the longer term that I can get to evaluate would be the better for us. But I'll leave that with council.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yeah, so a few of the questions, the reason why I was asking was you have some statistics here about how sport councils have actually gone down since 2015. So I don't know what the reasoning behind that is, if it's because they have migrated to, you know, working within the municipalities directly or not, but could you confirm whether or not it's a direct effect of that, or if that's just, do you have a reason behind that or any stats?
Ms. McDougall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't have particulars, so it's going to be my own impression of the Sport Council and the Sport Council role and how municipalities can get involved in sport. To be honest, municipalities can be there as support for sport, but sports all on their own have their own focus, their own budgets, their own mandates. So to me, the municipality's role is supporting them in the various streams that could also help community organizations, whether it be through volunteer recruitment, whether it be through support of marketing or promotion, or whether it be from a tourism perspective that's part of our economic development strategies. There's a variety of other elements that support it. So from having a sport council, which has a very formal function typically, to the governance of what truly a municipality can get involved in, I suspect that's what's happened, why some of them have diminished as far as their functionality. Not the role in itself, because I think the role from a coordinator perspective, from a facilitator perspective exists. I think there's opportunities that the municipality can support sport, but it may not be from the actual council type table, or sport council type table. Certainly support them when they come and ask for things, but I'm talking more about developing policy and how they're going to run their operation. I don't see that as a role that would go over well. And that's maybe why it's fallen off.
Councillor Gilliland?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Just overall comment, and I'd like to hear more from my colleagues, is I would feel comfortable with a 24 or 30 or 36-month contract position just because we are entering the unknown. I personally feel just being in the workforce, consultants and contract work is not unusual. And I do think it does foster perhaps some individual who would vie to do this job probably better above and beyond, and maybe bring new and different ideas. And it gives us an opportunity to refine that position if we so find a need to do that.
Thank you, Councillor Gilliland. As much as I'd like to see a full-time position, I do agree with some flexibility in us looking at this as we move forward. When we first ventured down the sport plan, and we hired Sport Aurora as a vendor to implement that sport plan. The specifics around that was that we would reevaluate them after a couple of years, and that's what we did. And so I think that we should allow us that same flexibility with this as well, to be able to reevaluate after a couple of years. I do want to make sure that our staff have the proper amount of time to give us a proper evaluation. That's why I think I'm okay with the 24 months. I would be okay if we went to 36 as well, but I do agree that the length is not going to change the fact of whether someone's going to feel comfortable. So whether it's 24 or 36, they're still going to come. They're still not guaranteed to get the position if it does become a full-time position, because they would have to apply for it as anyone else. So to me, that doesn't weigh into my decision, but I wouldn't mind seeing the contract position, just for the fact that we can reevaluate it and make adjustments if we have to. The sport plan at the end of the day is something that's not going to end after the 5-year time limit. We're going to continuously be looking at how we can keep promoting tourism within our community. So, I see it as this is a long-term position, but I would just like to make sure that we have that opportunity to reevaluate it. So I'll be in favor of the amendment as well. Councillor Gallo?
Just to be clear, the amendment is adding to the second clause and removing the third clause?
I think we're going to have to. We've been talking about that to figure out
Yeah.
whether we're going to have to need it. So I think we're going to need to remove that third clause.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Clerk?
So is that what's on the floor?
That's not what's on the floor, but I think we're going to have to do that because the third clause
It contradicts
it
what we're
contradicts
doing.
what we're doing. So, Councillor Kim, are you okay with adding to remove that third clause as part of your amendment? Councillor Gardner, you're seconding. Is that okay? Okay. So we're adding this new wording and we're removing the third clause. Does council understand what the amendment? Does everyone want to wait till it's up on the screen? Or everyone's good? Everyone's good? Okay. When the main motion comes, it'll be properly when we vote it. So if we're voting on the amendment right now, so I'll call the vote on the amendment. That carries. So back to the main motion as amended. Any comments? Okay. Seeing none, well, I'll wait for the motion to come up and then I'll call the vote. Okay, council? Okay. Call the vote. Councilor Humphreys? That carries. R2, application for zoning bylaw amendment, Canadian Tire Real Estate Limited, 14700 Yonge Street. Councilor Gardner, do you want to move that?
I do? No, I don't.
You don't? Can I get someone to move that? Councillor Kim, seconded by Councillor Gilliland. Councillor Gardner.
I didn't even put my name up there.
Pardon?
I didn't even push my button and you
What?
called me. Thank you. I have a couple of, well, a few concerns, but one of the one I wanted to ask our director about is we have there is the possibility of a drive-through, and we've reduced the number of cars in the stacking, I think, from 12 to 10. Do you know why that was done? I'm a little worried about that because we've had problems with drive-throughs before.
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe the councillor is referring to a concept plan that's part of the report. That is a concept plan. They have not come in for site plan yet.
Okay.
That level of detail will be determined through the site plan approval process.
Councilor Garner?
Thank you. And with respect, there's I guess it's a 3-meter buffer on the west side that separates the residents from, it's not a very wide buffer. Are we going to be requiring some plantings or some side, something that would try and help to block the noise?
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Gartner is correct. There's a 3-meter buffer. There's also a privacy fence, wood privacy fence there, and I believe there is some landscaping there that was implemented as part of the original development. We'll take a look at that and see where it needs to be upgraded regarding the uses that are in behind the building.
Councilor Garner?
Thank you. I often walk through that area, and I don't remember the buffer plantings being in very good shape, but I could be wrong on that. And the other thing is, and sorry, it is from the bylaw, but they say that they have the right to put a transformer in that 3-meter allowance. That a pad mount transformer could be there. So is that something that we could agree to or not agree to in a site plan?
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct. There may be some regulations regarding the placement of transformers next to a sensitive land use like residential. Those issues that I've spoken to will be addressed as part of site plan approval.
Councilor Garner?
Thank you. Are transformers noisy? Well, if they're noisy, we certainly don't want it there. Thank you. I think that's all.
Thank you, Councilor Gartner. Any other comments or questions on this one? Councilor Gallo?
Just a method to track the comments of the delegate so that when the site plan does come in, we don't lose those. I'm sure the director heard them. But
Mr. Waters?
Just to keep that in mind.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I've actually spoken to the resident and provided my email address to the resident. So I've asked them to make sure they send me their contact information. And their comments, in addition to what we heard at through the public process for the rezoning application, will be considered as part of the site plan approval process.
Thank you, Councilor Gallo. Thank you. Seeing no other comments, call the vote. That carries. R3, award of tender for the roadway rehabilitation on Yonge Street. Councilor Gallo, do you want to move that? No? Anyone want to move that? Councilor Humphreys, second. Councilor Kim. Councilor Gallo.
So I have, I guess, as I mentioned last week, two main issues with this, and that's the fact that it was a budgeted item about a year ago, actually a year ago, I think tomorrow, it was approved. And as one project, and as we know from the report, it was divided under the rationale that it was a large project, and the part one was tendered and approved, and part 2 was over budget. So my concern is, well, process and council authority to me are sacrosanct, and I don't waver on that. And when council passes a resolution on a project, council should expect that project to be complete in its entirety. And parsing off a piece and doing it and then submitting a report to council for another piece that somewhat arbitrarily, I haven't been able to determine how they were separated, and that second piece is over budget by 10% of the total budget, $365,000 over budget, $3.6 million project. And I thank Mr. Waters, although he wasn't here, and I respect the fact that he may have limited knowledge of the project, and replied to me this morning. I got an email answering some of my questions from last week, and I appreciate that. However, it still remains that a project that council approved was divided into 2 projects, and I have not been able to find the authority in which staff have to do that. I read through the procurement bylaw, and I may be mistaken, but if it's there, it's a little bit awkward at best. That we can move forward with a project by dividing it into 2, moving forward with one project, and then submitting to council that the second part is over budget, please give us more money. The rationale was for the second part that asphalt costs were budgeted for last year, about a year ago, and they're higher now. If that is true for part 2, why wouldn't it be true for part 1? You simply can't separate them, because part 1 was, the tender was issued in March of this year. So I have too many questions to be able to, and I'm struggling because I want this project to go forward, and I actually don't have an issue with the project, and it's on our 10-year capital plan, and it should go forward. In a perfect world, I believe staff should have come back to us with the entire project and said, it's over budget. We need more money for the entire project. Can we have that to move it forward? To me, that would have been the appropriate thing to do. Not split the project, do half of it, and then come to council for the second half and ask for more money because it's over budget. And who knows whether, if it was one entire project, because it's the same contractor who got both, if the price would have been even different. As we all know, there's an economy of scale, and when you do one project, you tend to get a better price if it's larger. And we all know that the town is capable of doing large projects, $30 million projects. A $3 million project, to me, the justification that it was too big to go out once, I just have a tough time understanding that. Even though we did it twice, the intent now is for it to be done all at once. So there's far too many questions, and I'm struggling a bit. Part of me is saying, send this back to staff for a full report on how this came about. And part of me is saying, we don't have much of a choice at this point. Part A is being done, and it's been approved, and it's on its way. And it would be somewhat ridiculous not to move part 2. I'm done. I don't know if there's any other
If no one wants
comments.
to say anything, you can talk a second time.
Sure.
Was that? Oh, as soon as I say that, Councillor Kim puts his name forward. Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Gallo raises some very good points. But I was thinking about this the last couple of days and thought, myself as well, this is a necessary project that needs to proceed. So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Downey, if we postpone or discontinue this project, I mean, one of the options are quite obvious. But can you just for the record, tell us what's the outcomes if we discontinue or postpone the project?
Mr. Downey?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe Jason, who's charged of procurement, is better to answer that question than myself.
Mr. Gardner?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, what was your question here, Councillor?
Councilor Kemp?
Yeah, so the question is, we know that this is a project that needs to go ahead and needs to get done. At the same time, the process in which we've come to this point, there's still a lot of unanswered questions, and I understand, Councillor Gallo, we don't want to repeat a similar process in subsequent projects, because this is a very common type of project. So if we discontinued or postponed this project right now, what are the likely outcomes?
Mr. Gardner?
Through you, Mr. Chair, obviously the first part of this project, the first contract, has to proceed as it's been tendered. The second request for proposal in this instance has not been tendered yet. But the ramifications are all this work is part of the 20-year plan for the town, and all this work, its completion kind of is part of a larger plan. So if this work isn't complete, it'll put our entire plan behind in terms of our road reconstruction plan and rehabilitation plan. And have a ramification on our service levels that we set for ourselves, that we'd like to maintain our average road network in. So I think the main ramifications of not proceeding with all this planned work is one on our service levels, as well as I'm presuming our relationship with this contractor as well.
Councilor Kim?
Thank you. That's the answer that I thought I'd receive, and I'm fine with let's go ahead with this, because stage one is already in progress. But before the next project comes due, because repair and placement happens year round, I think council would feel more comfortable if we had a deeper dive or some forensic analysis as to how this process took shape, and how this became over budgeted, and how it came to be two parts. So I'm not sure how long a timeline staff would need, but I think council would feel much better if we if we had some answers to some of the questions that Councillor Gallo and other members of councils have regarding how this took shape. So is it reasonable to for me, I think it's let's move ahead with this, but with I'd like to have staff come back with a report as to how to make sure that this process doesn't unfold like the way it did. That's it.
Thank you, Councilor Kim. Councilor Gardner?
I'd just like to echo, excuse me, what both councillors have said, and I do think we need a report on how this happened, because it shouldn't have happened, and we have a certain process. So let's find out where the glitch was in the process and not do it again. So that is a report to come back to council. Does that need a motion?
Mr. Clerk? Yep. Under new business? We can do amendment here.
Make a motion.
Councilor Gallo, would you like to put an amendment?
Yeah, I would like, as been stated, an analysis of what took place, and to me, to focus around the authority to break up a project that has been approved by council. To me, I really need to know that answer. What authority, under what authority, that was done. It's too bad, because we would have been in the same place probably if we had followed what I believe should have been the process.
So the amendment is for staff to,
Report back to council on an analysis of
of the project.
the decisions that were made. Sorry,
I know, I'm trying to think of wording in my head too.
I'm not a wordsmith on the fly. So.
Yeah, Mr. Clerk, you can give us a suggestion here on this?
Absolutely. Through you, Mr. Mayor, if staff report back to council regarding council's concerns about the process and splitting of the project, would keep concerns keep it at a broad level or broader to get everything that has been mentioned around the table this evening.
Does that work?
Sure.
Okay. Second, Councillor Kim, to the amendment. Any comments? Call a vote. Oh, does everyone want to see it? It's a good score time break. Check the score. Does anyone wants to check the score? 2-1. 2-1. Staff bring back. Okay, so there's the amendment, everyone. Everyone's good. I'll call the vote. That carries. Back to the main motion as amended. Any more comments? Okay. Just wait for the motion to come on the screen and I'll call the vote. Call the vote. That carries. All right, council. We have no motions, no regional report, new business. Councilor Gallo. No new business. Councilor Gardner. New business?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are we doing bylaws after?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, a few things. When are we going to have our first pending list for this council term?
Who wants to answer that?
Or I can leave it out there, but
Mr. Clark?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, soon we're working on something that's we hope is more effective
great.
for the pending list. So a couple of new ideas, but certainly it's on our radar.
Councilor Gardner?
Thank you. With respect to a motion that was passed a long time ago by council, the Blue Dot movement under David Suzuki, that was the right to live in a healthy environment, the right to fresh air, clean drinking water, and to eat healthy foods. We passed that a long time ago, and nothing's happened with it, and I think there's some parameters that we have to follow. So could we have that back again? Or could we have a follow-up report on that? What's happening or not happening with it? It's at least, or maybe Mr. Clerk, maybe that would be on your pending list about the Blue Dot program. I know it's way before you.
And Councillor, I would suggest, because we still don't have that position filled as far as. Have we hired? Do we know? Has anyone been? Mr. Waters?
Environmental person.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I assume you're referring to the energy environmental person that works at the Development Engineering. Yeah, that recruit is ongoing right now. So actually, interviews were today, is what I understand.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. West. Councilor, I would just suggest that once that person comes in, then maybe we can get something from them as far as what they're going to be looking at doing with that.
So thank you. This actually comes from a resident who attends many of our meetings. So I will speak with them and see, perhaps I can raise it again.
Perfect. Anything else?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Kim, new business. Councilor Humphries, Councilor Gilliland, new business.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, an update on the signs for Henderson and St. John's. Mr. Downey?
Mr. Downey, the Turtles.
See, Mr. Mayor, I know we're moving a little slow on this, but
No pun intended.
we have we've approved signage for both Henderson and St. John. We expect delivery this week of the signs as well as the flashing lights. Installation will take place next week. We've been working with the region with regards to installation on St. John's Side Road. They had some concerns from Transport Canada with regards to the flashing light, however, we resolved that issue today. We should be in a position where we are installing signs and flashing lights next week. I actually have an image if you would like to see it. No, okay, looks like they want to see it. So
75.
through you, Mr. Mayor, I know it says centimeters, but it's about 30 inches by 30 inches. It'll be on a 4x4 post, and then there will be a flashing light above the rectangular sign, or sorry, the square sign.
Thank you. Councilor Gilliland, did you have any more?
No more questions. This
No?
is very exciting. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Gartner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I knew I had something. Where are we at with the Kitimat sidewalk and Corbett Crescent stop sign? I don't know who belongs to that.
Mr. Waters?
Mr. Waters.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, those two subjects will be brought forward to the CAC in early May for discussion.
What's this?
Community Advisory Committee.
Our new committee?
The community?
Yes.
The community? Yeah, okay, thank
Sorry,
you.
in particular to the active Trails and Active Transportation group that forms part of the committee.
Councilor Gartner.
Thank you.
Anything else?
The trails and active transportation don't really deal with stop signs and sidewalks, do they?
Mr.
Well,
Waters?
through you, Mr. Mayor, I would, well, first of all, active transportation is dealing with sidewalks, walking, pedestrian movements. I would say that, you know, it's a good forum for this discussion to take place.
Okay.
So I think it's appropriate.
Thank
Councilor
you.
Gartner. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Public service announcements. Councilor Gilliland, start on your side.
Please join us in celebrating National Youth Week from May 1st to May 7th. For a complete list of free events and activities for youth ages 12 to 17, please visit us online at aurora.ca/youthweek.
Thank you, Councilor Gilliland. Councilor Humphries.
Last chance for high school students to apply for the John West Memorial Leaders of Tomorrow Scholarship Award. Students entering post-secondary school who have made a positive impact on the community have the chance to win $1,000. The application deadline is Wednesday, May the 1st. Visit aurora.ca/Leaders of Tomorrow for more information.
Thank you, Councilor Humphries. Councilor Kim.
Thank you. So this Saturday, April 27th, we have Aurora's Movie in the Sark screening, Mary Poppins Returns. So join us for free, pre-movie games and activities. Then settle in for the movie on the jumbo screen in the FAF Arena. Be sure to bring your lawn chairs and blankets.
Councilor Gartner.
Join us at the Town Hall on Saturday, May 4th and Sunday, May 5th for the annual Aurora Art Show and Sale. This is a must-see for all art enthusiasts, as more than 300 pieces of artwork will be featured. Visit aurora.ca/art show for more information.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Councillor Gallo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I think if you'll all join me in wishing happy birthday to Councillor Gilliland, her 25th birthday today.
For the what, 10th time?
Calling all dog enthusiasts, join us for Aurora's 22nd annual Paws in the Sark on May 11th at 10 a.m. To 4 p.m. at the Stronach Aurora Recreational Complex. Meet local pet vendors, veterinarians, and learn more about the town's pet bylaws and licensing. Visit aurora.ca/Paws in the Sark for more information.
Thank you, Councillor Gallo. And just as a reminder, everyone, so I'll read it. Lace up your running shoes and join Team Aurora this Sunday, April 28th at 8 a.m. for the Nature's Emporium Run for South Lake. Run, walk, or jog a 5-kilometer race. I'm hoping to see all of you run. We'll find. Oh, actually, okay, we'll let you go on that one. The road race is on Davis Drive in Newmarket in support of our local hospital, South Lake Regional Health Center. Funds raised support the most urgently needed tools and equipment at South Lake. Participate with the mayor and council and show your support. And to join Team Aurora, please visit southlakefoundation.ca/participate and click on the Run or Walk for South Lake icon and join Team Aurora. And if you check the stats right now, we are in a real fight for first place in the Mayor's Challenge. We are ahead, so Team Aurora is in first place currently, but it's very close, so I suggest that everyone continue to get those donations and show their support for our hospital. So we'll see you all on Sunday. Council, with that, I'll ask, we got bylaws. Councillor Gardner, did you want something on the bylaws?
I just wanted to mention to anyone who's watching us that we have tonight on our bylaws the Emergency Management Program and Emergency Response Plan. It's about 50 pages, but it's, well, I think it's important reading. I can't say that it's particularly interesting.
It's a long read.
It's a long one, but you know, it's our emergency response plan, so
Definitely.
have a look.
Thank you. Council, someone want to move the bylaws? Moved by Councillor Kim, seconded by Councillor Gilliland.
Yay.
I'll call the vote.
Oh. Good job.
That carries. Confirming bylaw. Councillor Gilliland, seconded by Councillor Kim. Call the vote.
Okay.
Councillor Humphries, Councillor Gilliland. Vote. Confirming bylaw. Thank you. That carries. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councillor Gallo, seconded by Councillor Humphries. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, Council. Thank you, staff.